There were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. That iconic confession from Princess Diana wasn't just a bitter truth about her shattered marriage. It was the opening shot in a series of royal tragedies that the world was never meant to uncover. But if you think it ended with a love triangle, think again. Nearly 3 decades after that horrific crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, a chilling revelation has finally come to light. Who really ordered Diana's death? And the one revealing it is none other than King Charles III himself. Why now? What compelled the king to break his silence after all these years? Is guilt gnawing at the soul of the aging monarch? Or is there a darker force, pressing him to speak before the truth is buried forever? In the cold, echoing corridors of Buckingham Palace, where every whisper can become a weapon, King Charles has uttered a name no one expected, a name tied to power, concealment, and shadows. And if what he says is true, the people of Britain may never look at the royal family the same way again. What is this horrifying truth? Who was behind the crash that took the life of the people's princess? And why did King Charles choose this moment to unveil it? Brace yourself. The earthquake has just begun. Under the cloak of night, a hush falls over London. Buckingham Palace, a symbol of centuries-old tradition and mystery, stands bathed in moonlight as the world's gaze converges on it. Tonight is different. For the first time, King Charles will step forward with a truth long buried beneath layers of secrecy. The air is thick with anticipation and uncertainty as the cameras focus on the palace steps, broadcasting live to a global audience eager for answers. Charles appears at the podium, his expression solemn, voice measured but resolute. Tonight, I speak what must be known, he declares, his words cutting through the silence like a beacon. This moment is unprecedented. No royal before him has confronted the tragic mystery of Princess Diana's death with such directness. The world listens as he frames the narrative, not as mere speculation, but as a quest for truth and justice. Accompanying his speech is a haunting montage of images flashing paparazzi cameras, the fateful Paris tunnel, and the iconic silver Mercedes. August 31st, 1997, replays in the collective consciousness with painful clarity. Charles poses the question on everyone's lips, who ordered this? His tone suggests the answer is not to be found in distant conspiracies, but much closer to home, within the inner sanctums of the palace. The king's words send ripples of shock and curiosity worldwide. This is a royal admission that promises to tear down decades of silence. The scene sets the stage for revelations that will challenge long-held beliefs, shaking the foundations of the monarchy and altering history's course. As Charles steps back from the podium, the global audience is left with a lingering tension, the promise that the shadows of the past may finally be illuminated. Tonight is the beginning of a journey toward uncovering the truth behind the most tragic and controversial event in modern royal history. Car crash revisited. The screen slows to a somber replay. Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed enter the back seat of the silver Mercedes, their faces a mixture of joy and obliviousness to the danger ahead. The contrast between their carefree expressions and the relentless paparazzi chase that follows is stark and haunting. Every flashing camera, every screeching tire, feels like a countdown to disaster. The narrative rewinds to that fateful night, August 31st, 1997, a date forever etched in global memory. The official inquest painted a grim picture. Henri Paul, the driver, was intoxicated and speeding through the dark tunnels of Paris. These factors alone seemed enough to explain the tragic crash. Yet, beneath the surface of the inquest's findings, questions linger. Questions the public has been forbidden to ask openly for decades. The palace's silence on these deeper mysteries fostered speculation. Was there a more sinister trigger inside the royal circle? Could an unseen force within the monarchy have set events into motion? The contrast between the official narrative and these darker suspicions creates a chilling dissonance. Revisiting the crash with new eyes and King Charles's recent admission changes the narrative from a tragic accident to a possible orchestrated betrayal. The visual retelling underscores not only the heartbreak, but the sense of a carefully concealed truth waiting to emerge. The world is invited to look again, to question what was accepted as fact. The crash, once seen as an unfortunate tragedy, now appears tangled in a web of intrigue, secrecy, and royal politics. A tragedy whose true story has remained hidden in the shadows for too long. Inner Circle exposed. King Charles's revelation delivers a shockwave that reverberates far beyond Buckingham Palace. The cause of the crash was not an international conspiracy or a shadowy foreign plot, he states unequivocally. The implication is seismic. The orchestrators of the tragedy lie within his own inner circle. The phrase inner circle is charged with profound meaning. It encompasses those closest to the king, trusted family members, royal aides, and possibly intelligence operatives embedded within the palace. This admission turns the gaze inward, stripping away layers of royal invulnerability and exposing a palace vulnerable to betrayal from within. International audiences react with stunned disbelief. This revelation dismantles decades of speculation about external enemies and replaces them with a chilling suggestion: the palace itself harbors dark secrets, potentially implicating those once deemed loyal protectors. The world begins to scrutinize Buckingham Palace more intensely than ever before. The once impenetrable walls now seem permeable, inviting questions about the loyalties and motivations of those who operated in the shadows. This acknowledgement redefines the tragedy from distant conspiracy to an intimate act of betrayal within the monarchy. As the palace braces for fallout, the public watches closely. Trust is fragile, and Charles's confession demands a reckoning, not just of past events, but of the very structure and integrity of the royal household itself. Who could it be? Suspense tightens its grip as the narrative shifts to shadowy corridors deep within Buckingham Palace, where whispers and secrets have long lingered. A sense of unease builds as the camera pans through dimly lit hallways, suggesting figures lurking behind closed doors, figures who may hold the key to the tragedy. The palace's inner sanctum becomes a stage for speculation. Who among the trusted could have been involved in ordering the fatal crash? Was it a rogue MI6 agent acting out of personal vendetta or misguided loyalty, a high-ranking royal aide with access and motive, or even someone intimately close to King Charles, whose personal ambitions or jealousies may have driven them? Profiles of potential suspects flash on screen, each briefly outlined with possible motives, opportunities, and relationships to the royal family. The tension escalates, underscored by a ticking clock, urging the audience to consider who could have orchestrated such a devastating act. This interactive moment invites viewers to engage with the mystery, sparking debates and theories that extend beyond the screen. The question of who becomes a collective puzzle, drawing in the public's imagination and suspicions. The suspense sets the stage for upcoming dramatic disclosures, heightening anticipation and ensuring that every revelation will be scrutinized with intense public interest. The promise of truth. King Charles returns to the screen, his voice steady but resolute, delivering a historic vow: every name will be revealed. This promise of transparency signals a new chapter, a commitment to reveal the hidden truths and dispel the shadows that have long obscured the tragic events. Dramatic imagery follows dusty archives opened by candlelight, stacks of sealed files carefully unlocked, legal teams assembling with determined purpose. The palace, often associated with discretion and secrecy, is now embracing openness and accountability. This pledge walks a delicate line between hope and skepticism. The public leans forward, caught between a desire to trust their monarch and fears of another royal cover-up. The promise to fully investigate and clarify brings a renewed sense of possibility, an opportunity for justice and closure that has eluded many for decades. The royal family's decision to engage with independent investigators and historians marks a profound shift. It acknowledges the weight of public demand and the need to preserve the monarchy's integrity through truth. As legal experts verify evidence and inquiries deepen, The world watches eagerly. This promise of truth could redefine the legacy of Princess Diana's death, reshape public trust in the monarchy, and herald a new era of royal transparency. Palace shock waves. The revelation that the tragedy surrounding Princess Diana's death was orchestrated from within Buckingham Palace sent immediate and intense shockwaves through the royal household and beyond. Inside the palace walls, a rare flurry of activity and urgency swept through corridors usually marked by decorum and discretion. Courtiers and aides, many of whom had long served under a veil of silence, found themselves scrambling to contain the fallout of King Charles's unprecedented confession. Ministers were quickly briefed behind closed doors, aware that the stakes were higher than ever before. The palace, accustomed to managing scandals with quiet denials and tightly controlled messaging, faced a new kind of challenge. The public now demanded transparency, and the age-old culture of secrecy was under siege. Security teams were mobilized to revisit and audit decades-old archives and communications, searching for any clues that might corroborate or contradict the emerging narratives. This unprecedented internal investigation brought a rare wave of tension and distrust among palace staff. Whispers of loyalty, betrayal, and hidden agendas filled the air. Leaked documents and anonymous sources began to surface in the press, further complicating the palace's damage control efforts. Headlines screamed of a royal family under siege, capturing the sensational and destabilizing nature of the crisis for the monarchy. This period marked a turning point. The shock waves extended far beyond Buckingham Palace, shaking public confidence and forcing the royal family to confront uncomfortable truths about their past and present. The age-old institution found itself at a crossroads, where tradition clashed with the demands of accountability in the modern age. Battleground of evidence. As the palace moved to confront the allegations head-on, the investigation quickly evolved into a complex battleground of evidence. Forensic reenactments of the fatal crash were undertaken with painstaking detail, seeking to uncover any overlooked anomalies or new insights that might clarify the circumstances surrounding the accident. Crash investigators revisited the scene, reanalyzing the physical evidence and examining archived photographs and videos with fresh eyes and advanced technology. The goal was to separate fact from fiction and to discern whether any previously ignored clues might point to interference or foul play. Audio and video experts meticulously examined recordings from that night, including police transmissions and surveillance footage, searching for inconsistencies or hidden messages. Every detail was scrutinized, with particular attention paid to the moments leading up to the crash. The investigation also reopened intelligence files, including MI6 records, delving into classified documents and secret communications. Safes were unlocked, and confidential information was brought to light under strict legal supervision. Chain of custody protocols were carefully monitored to preserve the integrity of evidence. Legal counsel maintained a vigilant presence, ensuring that the inquiry complied with all judicial standards and that no evidence could be discredited or dismissed due to procedural errors. The battleground of evidence became a high-stakes arena where the truth was pursued with relentless rigor. This meticulous process aimed to provide the public and the royal family with clarity, justice, and closure, an end to decades of painful speculation and conspiracy. Potential suspects. With the battleground of evidence firmly established, focus shifted to identifying potential suspects who could have orchestrated or facilitated the tragic crash. Speculation ran rampant as investigators considered individuals with access, motive, and opportunity to be involved. One profile centered on a rumored rogue MI6 field agent, someone who might have acted independently out of discontent or personal grievance. This individual, possessing both the means and knowledge, could theoretically manipulate events to target the royal couple. Yet, proving such a claim required solid evidence beyond conjecture. Another line of inquiry targeted palace advisors. Individuals deeply embedded in royal operations, with direct access to sensitive information. Could jealousy, Ambition or loyalty conflicts have driven one of these trusted aides to act. Their proximity to power and discretion made them plausible suspects. Intriguingly, some theories pointed to a covert collaboration between certain paparazzi and insiders within the palace. The relentless pursuit of Diana by photographers had tragic consequences, and some alleged that certain members of the press may have been complicit or even facilitated dangerous situations. Speculation even extended to a royal family member, someone who stood to gain from Diana's absence or to protect the monarchy's reputation. Such allegations carry immense gravity, reflecting the dark undercurrents that have long whispered through royal history. To engage the global audience, interactive elements such as anonymous polls or viewer votes were introduced, encouraging public participation in weighing the evidence and speculating on the truth. While names remained undisclosed, the investigation narrowed its focus, promising revelations that could finally unveil the architect of the tragedy. The global reaction. News of King Charles's declaration and the unfolding investigation ignited a worldwide reaction marked by shock, hope, and a fervent demand for justice. Across continents, news anchors described the moment as a historic royal reckoning, an event poised to rewrite the narrative of one of the most iconic tragedies of the 20th century. In cities like London and Paris, public rallies emerged as citizens gathered to show solidarity for a full and transparent inquiry. Truth for Diana and justice from Buckingham became common sights, symbolizing a public hunger for accountability and closure. International leaders expressed their support for the investigation, emphasizing the importance of transparency and justice in healing historic wounds. Diplomatic channels buzzed with discussions on cooperation between British and French authorities, reflecting the global impact of the case. Royal biographers and historians offered fresh commentary, suggesting that the revelations could drastically reshape the public's understanding of the royal family's recent history. The palace's long-held image of untouchable dignity was under scrutiny, and the world watched closely. Social media exploded with a flood of opinions, theories, and emotions. Hashtags trended globally, and millions engaged in conversations about the monarchy, justice, and the power of truth. The digital sphere became a vibrant forum, reflecting society's complex feelings, sympathy for Diana, skepticism of the palace, and hope for transparency. The global reaction underscored the event's significance far beyond the palace walls. It highlighted the enduring legacy of Diana and the public's role as a powerful force demanding accountability from even the most revered institutions. Charles's next steps. In the wake of the global outcry and mounting pressure, King Charles took decisive action, announcing the formation of a formal public inquiry. This move marked a monumental step toward transparency and accountability, signaling that the royal family was prepared to confront uncomfortable truths head-on. The inquiry would be led by a respected judge and a panel of independent auditors, selected for their integrity and expertise. Their mission to review all available evidence, hear testimonies, and bring clarity to decades of speculation. In a groundbreaking gesture, the palace pledged to open royal archives to a carefully chosen group of historians, allowing them to access documents previously kept under tight seal. This unprecedented access aimed to ensure that history would be written with honesty and depth. Recognizing the international nature of the tragedy, Charles extended the offers of collaboration to French authorities, fostering diplomatic goodwill and a united front in the search for truth. A global broadcast was scheduled to preview the inquiry's proceedings, promising live hearings that would bring transparency to the world stage. The king's commitment to openness was clear. This would not be a royal secret kept in shadows, but a public reckoning. As the inquiry prepared to unfold, anticipation mounted. The world braced for revelations that could redefine the House of Windsor and reshape the monarchy's legacy for generations to come. Windsor's internal turmoil. The aftermath of King Charles's bombshell revelations sent shockwaves through the very core of the royal family, igniting a crisis of trust and power within Windsor's historic walls. The palace, long known for its impenetrable facade and disciplined silence, now grappled with fractures that threatened its stability. Courtiers, advisors, and senior royals found themselves caught in a whirlwind of suspicion, loyalty tests, and political maneuvering. The once unified front began to show cracks as silos formed. Different factions emerged, some advocating for full transparency, others pushing for cautious damage control to protect the institution's reputation. Internal alliances shifted rapidly, old friendships strained, and whispered conversations turned into heated debates behind closed doors. King Charles faced unprecedented pressure. Calls for abdication or a forced retreat echoed quietly through the palace halls. The weight of his confession, while lauded by some as courageous, was seen by others as a dangerous gamble that risked destabilizing the monarchy at a delicate moment in its history. Meanwhile, Prince William and Prince Harry, the two heirs to the legacy shaped by Diana, demanded clarity and accountability. Their reactions ranged from demands for complete disclosure to cautious distance, each navigating their own complex feelings of grief, betrayal, and duty. Queen Consort Camilla found her position in the spotlight both precarious and pivotal. Public sentiment was divided. Some expressed sympathy for her, seeing her as a stabilizing force, while others criticized her silence or perceived complicity. Her influence within the family became a focal point in the unfolding drama. This internal turmoil exposed the monarchy's human vulnerabilities beneath centuries of tradition and ceremony. It underscored the challenge of balancing personal loyalty with public responsibility and raised urgent questions about the monarchy's ability to survive the storm of truth in a modern age. As tensions mounted, Windsor stood at a crossroads, caught between preserving an ancient legacy and confronting a painful, transformative reckoning. Cliffhanger: what will be revealed? Just as the world braced for answers, King Charles's broadcast paused, leaving viewers suspended in breathless anticipation. With a solemn gaze, he declared, "The evidence points to someone very close." For abruptly ending the statement, he promised the full revelation in the coming week. The screen cut to a visual of sealed court files, their locks ominous under flickering candlelight, and a heavy wooden door closing slowly, a metaphor for secrets that have remained tightly guarded for decades. The camera then shifted to the statue of Diana, bathed in ethereal moonlight, a haunting reminder of the life and legacy at the heart of this mystery. This cliffhanger sent the public and media into a frenzy. Speculation exploded across social platforms and news outlets. Who was this person so close to the tragedy? A trusted aide, a family member, someone within the intelligence community. The possibilities sparked intense debate and conspiracy theories. The palace's careful timing heightened the drama, as global audiences were left waiting in suspense, desperate for the next installment of this royal saga. The promise of unveiling the darkest secret of the House of Windsor created a cultural moment, a collective moment of reckoning with history, loyalty, and justice. This pause in the narrative reminded all that some truths are buried deeply, and their unearthing can reshape not only personal lives but entire institutions. The world was now fully invested, eyes fixed on the forthcoming disclosure that could rewrite royal history forever. Public engagement and reflection. With the inquiry underway and the royal revelations unfolding, public engagement surged to unprecedented levels. People around the world found themselves not only as spectators, but as active participants in the discourse. Social media became a digital agora where theories, opinions, and emotions clashed and converged, reflecting the collective fascination with the royal family's most guarded secrets. Interactive polls and comment sections invited viewers to weigh in on suspects, motives, and potential outcomes, blurring the lines between journalism and citizen investigation. The inquiry became more than a legal process. It was a shared cultural event that challenged the public to reconsider their understanding of monarchy, power, and justice. As the truth emerged piece by piece, reflections deepened on what this meant for the monarchy's future. How would this history of betrayal and concealment affect public trust? Could the royal family restore its image through transparency? Or was this the beginning of a slow unraveling? Documentaries, podcasts, and expert panels proliferated, analyzing every detail and offering perspectives on how the revelations connected to broader themes of privilege, accountability, and institutional reform. The inquiry also sparked debates about the balance between privacy and public interest, questioning what should remain sacred within royal life and what must be subject to scrutiny. A call to action resonated among many to stay informed, to demand justice, and to engage critically with how history is told and remembered. The final message echoed across broadcasts and digital platforms. What would the truth mean for the monarchy's future? This question hung in the air, inviting viewers to reflect on the enduring impact of the revelations and the path ahead for an institution caught between tradition and transformation. Princess Diana's death was not just a tragic accident. It was a deep wound in the heart of Britain that has never truly healed. For nearly 3 decades, millions have continued to ask the same haunting question: was it merely a random crash, or was it a carefully orchestrated conspiracy hidden in the shadows on the surface? It's easy to accept the official conclusion that it was a traffic accident caused by a drunk driver. But the deeper you dig into the fragments of that fateful night, the more unanswered questions begin to surface. The malfunctioning security cameras, the conflicting testimonies, the prolonged silence of the royal family, and most chilling of all, Diana's own handwritten letter expressing fear that someone was trying to get rid of her. Was someone truly behind Diana's death? Honestly, I believe something has been hidden and her death was far from simple. As for Camilla, the woman often seen as the shadow in Diana's marriage, I don't believe she was directly involved in Diana's demise. But could her presence have been a threat? Could Diana's continued existence have been an inconvenience to the image the monarchy wanted to project? Especially with Camilla waiting in the wings, possibly. In a world where appearance often matters more than truth, removing someone like Diana, a woman who dared to speak out and challenge the system, might have been seen as the solution to a political chessboard far more complex than we'll ever know. And that is why, even today, Diana's death remains an unsolved mystery, one that continues to haunt a nation and cast a long shadow over the House of Windsor.